Good day everyone, we are the reporter of Chapter 1, Values Education, Legal and Ethical Perspective. The call for a change. Values education is what we need today, considering the enormous problems confronting with the Filipino people, such as narcopolitics and its offshoot, the extrajudicial killings. This is in addition to the corruption in the government, the insensitivity to the needs of others, or the selfishness in general. The people's addiction to gambling, the distorted standard for success, and the propensity to commit crimes, especially against person or property are but a manifestation of lack of proper values as the foundation of a strong and progressive society for the Filipino people. Our country faces a lot of problems such as crimes, drugs, kidnapping, including this COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of people are seeking for justice, a lot of people are hungry for food, a lot of people are suffering because of poverty, and lots of lives are lost because of the crimes. These problems should undertaken now with values, as later may be too late. We all know that calling for a change was not that easy, but it gives us values outcome, not just as a citizen but also as a Filipino. Values defined. Values is defined as the established ideals of life, object, customs, ways of acting, and the like that a member of a given society regards as a desirable. Values is not just a behavior of a person, but also it is the action of a person to do good towards everyone or anything. For example, the police and the soldiers. They are not just engaged of war, but also they are to serve our country and the people. They say action is more important than words. Education defined. Education is defined as the development of knowledge, skills, ability, or character by teaching. Education is very important for us to cultivate knowledge, attitudes, and skills that can help our future. Gaining knowledge is important so that you don't get lost or strayed from the path you want to take. Education is our guide to reach our goals and fulfill our life.
So good morning, I am Jessil Humaon Mabini. So today we will be talking about the purpose of education, values of education, and the foundation of values education. So first, what is purpose of education? The purpose of education is the truth searching with the respect of anything in a relation to a man's quest for the better life. Thus, according to some advocates, if education is to promote change for the better, then education has to refer to philosophy to determine what better means for a particular segment of a society or for a society as a whole. In educational, philosophy is the application of philosophy to the study of the factors affecting the aims and goals of education, its methods, content, and organization, in terms of human values as they affect the nature and purpose of a man and society. Which means, ang purpose of education ay ang respeto sa bawat bagay na mangyayari sa ating buhay. In additional, it is a source of its obvious benefits for a fuller and better life. Education can contribute to the betterment of a society as a whole. It develops a society in which our people are aware of their rights and duties. So next is values education. So first, what is values education? Values education as a field of discipline therefore deals with the principles on how man ought to act in relation to anything that comes across his way. It includes his dealing with his fellow men with the end of view of making world better place for everyone to live in. Thus, the aim of values education is a character building. It is the study on how can on how can man properly respond to his environment with the aim of achieving the desired result of cooperation, unity, and self-reliance among members of the society to ensure that progress and development be attained. Which means values education ay disiplina to deals with the principle on how man ought to act sa kahit anong darating sa kanya or sa atin. Character building means yung pagbuo sa ating own character, self-characters. Kung paano natin haharapin ang pagsubok sa ating buhay sa at sa society. Means dapat nating alamin yung relationship natin sa kanya, ang purpose natin sa buhay at ang purpose natin kung bakit tayo tinawag na fellow man. So the third is foundation of values education. So what is values education or foundation of values education? Truth about man and his environment is the foundation of values education. Man must discover the truth about him and his relation with his creator, his purpose in life, and his relationship with his fellow men, and the rule of the environment, with all the bounties that can be found therein. Thus, man must rationalize as to what he is living for. How shall we deal with the others, for what reason the world exists in relations to him. This truth-searching must be the primary objectives and concern of the man's existence, which can only be possible if he finds his truth relation with his maker being the truth himself. So, ibig sabihin, ano ang dahilan kung bakit tayo nabubuhay, paano tayo humaharap sa iba, ano ang rason ng mundo, at ang rason kung paano tayo nakikibagay sa bawat isa. Ano yung relationship natin sa Kanya or sa God the Father or Allah. Another, ang buhay ay simple kahit may mga mahirap na pagsubok sa ating purpose ay alamin kung paano tayo haharap dito at sa Kanya. Dapat maging totoo tayo sa sarili at sa ating Ama or Allah. Yun lamang ang ating tatalakayin ngayong araw. Maraming salamat.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmate. I am Robert C. Lozano Jr., BSPA, PPPA 1C. The assigned topic for me is values formation, formative age, and foundation of Filipino values. Values formation. Values education being a character building, primarily formative in nature. It is an acquired attitude that culminates into man's behaviors. As such, values education constitutes as a training endeavor to make the values themselves become a man's habit in terms of an acquired character being the common social norms of a given society. Hence, the need of a values education through formal training for the purpose until such time that the same values have become the foundation of the people's way of life. The best way to achieve this purpose is through formal education as part of school curricula as one regular subject, with emphasis as to its importance in relation to government effort of establishing a just and humane society. Para sa akin po, ang values formation is yun yung programa ng school, like elementary, high school, college, may value subject tayo dahil tumutulong sila sa paghubog sa atin, sa pag-guide sa atin through right way and right path. Formative age, adolescents as they are, these young adults are in the crossroads of what life to live as they are with the dilemma of which way to go. Hence, with lack of proper values to guide them, in most cases, they become victims of their own frustration. On the other hand, when they are guided with proper values, they become successful and more often than not they become prominent and great men of their times. So, sa formative age naman, dito na yung pumapasok yung edad kung saan minumuld, meron na tayong sariling desisyon at pero kailangan pa rin natin ng guidance ng ating magulang, ng ating teacher, para tahakin yung tamang landas at dun pumapasok yung values subject. Foundation of Filipino values. The foundation of Filipino values refer to such virtues that we believe necessary in the making of Filipino nation at par with other progressive countries in the world. The kind of virtues which will make the Filipino values believe in themselves as respectable, brave, and worth looking up to by other countries in the world. The race of great men who are proud of their history being the story of their struggle from slavery to greatness, from poverty to progress, and most of all, the lack of their identity as a nation to one with a country of pride not only in Asia but all over the world. We instill such virtues which will make Filipino men and women the inspiration of the generations to come because mindful and caring for their legacy to their prosperity. The great men and women who are always ready to sacrifice and be placed at the forefront the welfare of their countrymen rather than their personal benefits. A foundation of Filipino values is mas tumatak sa akin yung last sentence because uh, dito pumapasok yung Filipino values na hospitality. Sa hospitality, yun na yung um, kaugalian natin na kapag may bisita is tinatanggap natin kahit um, nagagawa natin ng paraan para ma-accommodate sila kahit na tayo lang kahit na mahirap lang tayo, kahit na kaunti lang yung handa natin, tinatanggap pa rin natin sila.
Ethics is a branch of philosophy in truth searching to what is right or wrong in consonance with the norms of a given society. This is a question, morality or immorality of one's behavior, which largely depends on the social norm being the standard of one's action or behavior. Be that as it may, however, man having possessed the universal character of divinity, which is the attribute of divine nature of his Maker, acquires that universal concept of what is morally good or bad. Hence, people all over the world have commoner standard of what is ethical or not, although with minor differences brought about by their unique character as a nation. Okay, it is understood that ethics is study of the philosophical of moral concept. Why? Because it concerns itself with the good and will of nature, morality, of action and seeks guide behavior in a way that increases good action in society. Why ethics is related and connected with philosophy. A lot of people is actually asking how come that ethics is related and connected in philosophy. Because ethics is a moral guidelines that must a human can follow in order to lead a life and it is up to the moral standards. How about philosophy? Philosophy is a study of fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existency, especially when considered as an academic discipline. The differences of moral and morality. Moral refers to what society sanction as right and acceptable, that most of people tend to act morally and follow society guidelines. For morality, it is often requires that people sacrifice their own short-term interests for the benefit of society, so that a one's behavior, which actually largely depends on the social norm that the standards of one action or the behavior. Law is defined as the rule of conduct, just and obligatory promulgated by competent authority for common observance and benefits. Thus law by its nature ought to be the kind of act or behavior which the people must do under certain situation. The reason is that it is obligatory upon those who are covered by it simply because the same is considered good under the given circumstances. Hence, promulgated by the proper authority, particularly the branch of government authorized to issue the same. Indeed, non-compliance with the said law is 11 made punishable. Okay, next is law. What is a rule of conduct means? It's a set of elementary laws of professional practice that seeks to impress the primary examples of ethical behavior consistent with the code of ethics. By its nature, ought to the kind of act or behavior which people must understand a certain situation. Branch of government authorize the issue at the same time. Therefore, values being the desired conduct behavior of all people. Legal and ethical perspective. Man must live in a society or community along with others. This is so because man is a social animal and therefore they live by the rules of the society. Technically, refers to what is commonly called as law. Hence, everyone has to abide the law so that peace and order, as well as progress and development, can be achieved. In fact, ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance with Article 3 Civil Code. The reason is necessity, thus said the court, being a general principle founded not only on expediency and policy but necessity. There is no ground why Article 3 should be relaxed. If the rule were otherwise, the effect would involve and perplex the court with question incapable of any just solution and would embarrass it with inquiries almost interminable. Solueta versus Solueta 1 Phil 254. Let's move on legal and ethical perspective. What is legal and ethical perspective means? Legal means to be within the bounds of the law, while ethical means to be within the bounds of certain moral codes that aren't necessarily enforceable by the law. It is a moral code mean they will live the rule according to the rules of society. That is it okay. That must a man live in a society or community along with others, because a man is a social animal. Social animal means, according to Aristotle, that a man can survive in isolation. Therefore, a human beings interact with each other on a daily basis, having deep impact on each other's life, so that everyone must abide by the law, so that peace and order, that it will progress development and be successful or be achieved.
Everyone, I am Irene S. De La Cruz from BSPA PPPA 1C at ang aking nakuhang topic ay ang human rights at ang physical injuries. Human rights are moral principles or norms for certain standard of human behavior and are regularly protected in municipal and international law. Pag sinabing human right, ito yung mga karapatan natin as a people of the Philippines, like for example, yung pagpili ng magiging pinuno ng ating bansa. Tayong pipili nun dahil karapatan natin yun at nakalagay yan sa saligang batas. And even sa mga kaso na kinasasangkutan natin until hindi na napoprove na guilty tayo sa isang kasong hindi naman natin ginawa, or let's say napagbintangan lang tayo or inakusahan, karapatan natin kumuha ng attorney para may paglaban natin ang sarili natin sa mga bagay na hindi naman natin ginawa dahil nasa batas yun. 5 example ng human rights. Kabilang dito ang the right to life and liberty, freedom of slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and education. And the physical injuries is the mechanical trauma is an injury to any portion of the body from a blow, crash, cut, or penetrating wound. The example of physical injuries is those caused by mechanical trauma, heat and cold, electrical discharges, changes in pressure, and radiation.